All right, welcome to Pass the Mic for Friday, August 11th, 2023, episode 81. We are on Zoom. Michael Peyote here. Mr. Michael Gervasi, how are you?
What's up? What's up? How you doing?
Getting there, getting almost to the middle of August. Fall sports have started, wrapping up our first week of practice. So the school's hustling and bustling. It's going to be back to school time. I know a lot of these other states are already starting.
How's it going so far?
We got good numbers turnout of cross country. We were just talking before we went on the air. The weather was very cooperative this week for late August, for early August, I should say. It isn't like scorching hot. It's just, what you'd expect this time of year. So that sort of helps out. So, we got some new runners, we got some good numbers. So we're happy. So
Yeah,
good
yeah.
start. Everyone had their physicals in on day one.
That's
That's all
very important. That's not much more you can ask for day one.
that's all you can ask for on day one. Niles Kruger of the Monroe News wanted an update. I should have put that in my update. First success was day one. Everyone had a physical. So
There you go. There you go.
got a lot of feedback last week. Of course, our episode with Mr. Jeffrey Simons. It always seems like whenever we have a special guest, we get a lot of feedback going on. A lot of feedback about both his professional choices. I know you got a lot from that. I know Max sent us in some stuff from both him and his brother.
Yeah, that was interesting. Interesting take. Both good and bad. I at least on my end, one of my friends commented. I'm not going to say any names on this one. That it was one. He thought it was one of the most low energy shows we had. I don't know if it was because there was no laughter. It was a little more.
It was a little more of a serious topic,
It was.
And in all honesty, we were both a little, I don't say nervous, but we just didn't know where Jeff was going to go with it. We just sort of told him the topic and we didn't say, we didn't know where he was going to go with it. So and we don't stop, we don't edit anything out. We just go with it. So I think that was sort of there. I think he was a little nervous too, as we could see, there's some jokes about the technology issues and stuff. So I sort of go with that. I think Max. Now, do you hear my dog? I know you asked me about my cat earlier. I know Max or his brother pointed out. A lot of times, I don't want to offend anybody. Sometimes us in the educational world are whiners a little bit.
Sure.
And there's lots of fields where people are leaving early. You know what I mean? There's lots of fields where people are getting burned out and wanting to move on. So it's not just us, and I acknowledge that. I realize that. Don't you agree? I know nurses get burned out. We've talked about this. Police officers get burned out. We obviously realize it's not just us. That's part of, I think we both agree with that. Also on home shopping, Max brought up some good points. The whole idea, like I think you mentioned, hanging out, I got to spend a lot of time with Dale Krieger, the Rocket Man, and it's fun, and then like you said, going out to meals and doing that. If you like your realtor, it's a good thing, right?
Right.
So.
Let me give a shout out to Tony Saavedra. Now he
Coach.
He gave a shout out to Chat GPT or Chat, right?
Yeah.
Commenting about my take on Field of Dreams and Have a Catch. It's a regional dialect, so apparently, much like we say pop, most of the rest of the country says soda. Apparently, it's a regional thing. So Tony, you gave credit where it's due, and we cited that source. I want to give credit to you for finding that out. So yeah, that was interesting take.
We always enjoy, we're researchers. We oftentimes look up and do look up our stuff. So it's nice when our fans look up stuff as well. I kind of figured it had something to do with that.
I had to do some research for this week's show. So yeah.
Oh, really? Oh, well, there you go. That's that's part of what we do. I think I think something too, just to talk about profession, and Jeff sort of mentioned, and it came back as a comment and that sort of thing. But Jeff mentioned not, and I sort of made a joke about it too. It was like the change in education, right? Like every couple of years. But that's not just an education thing. That is in the private sector. That is, everything there has to be some improvements and attempts to improve and make changes.
Sure.
We can't teach the way things were being taught in 1980 or 1960 although ironically our school calendar is based off of something that long,
right? Way back, yes.
Yes, but you have to at least you can't, change does bring improvement. We'd realize sometimes it sort of gets insulting and sort of like sometimes we feel like it's happening just to happen, but it's part of every profession. I think that I just wanted to stress with that. I think Jeff was a great guest, both with his real estate expertise and his education expertise. So
Jeff is extremely talented. I really miss, I have Evie next door to me now. She's great, very dear friend. But Jeff was, like I said last week, we didn't agree on everything, but he always kept it entertaining. We had a good time, and I think he is one of the most well-rounded people. You know, he mentioned his business degree.
Mhm.
He used to produce the play and
Yep.
or direct the play, excuse me, and did a wonderful
The
job with it. So
musical.
he,
Yeah.
yes, and
The
he's just
talented singer.
amazing. Very talented singer. You know, his wife posted on Facebook, I don't know if you saw this, a picture of him when he was in high school. He looked a lot younger.
Well, well, we all do. Like I
Oh
said,
yeah, yes,
you
that's
can't
very true.
you
Yeah, yeah.
can't fight the change. That brings us to unless you have anything else, it's going to bring us.
No, I'm
Oh,
good.
I do have something else. I use the term Upper Peninsula snob about one of our loyal listeners, and I want to apologize for that. I'm going to say Upper Peninsula aficionado is the term I will use. I don't want to, So
Snob. I don't care.
all right, my mic of the week. This is going to throw a little curveball. I think this is the first mic we have like this. I'm thinking of. I just sort of like trying to think out of the box. And I'm not a huge candy guy, but every once in a while I enjoy. I'm more of a savory guy. I'd rather have like to me, I'd rather have like an appetizer and a meal than a meal and dessert. I guess is how I'd put it. If you gave me the option, that's how I'd go. I'm not a
Sure.
big sweet guy, but you go to the movies or a road trip or something, right? Like candies,
Yeah.
candy's the way to go. So, are you familiar with the candy Mike and Ike's? Because I'm
I
going to
knew
put
you were.
Mike of Mike and Ike's up on our uh, wall of Mike's. Are you a fan of them?
No.
I think they're a little underrated. I don't. I
You
think
think they're
they're
underrated?
I think they're pretty good. I think they taste good. They're usually cheap. They're not chocolatey, and
Good to see
they'll
Nate
last.
there, but you should ask Nate how he feels.
Nate, newly hired at Buffalo Wild Wings,
All right, congrats, Nate. Ask him
post
how he feels
front.
about Mike and Ike's. I think they're overrated. I don't think they're very good.
Well, he's already gone. But if you're going to Woodhaven Buffalo Wild Wings, he'll seat you. Tell him pass the mic crew. Maybe he'll get you a good seat.
Oh, he's getting in on a show here.
His new job is welcome to the real world. All
Yeah.
right. So that's my mic of the week. I think I sent you guys, I think I've sent it to you, like the TikTok where these guys draft their top mics. Didn't you watch that one?
Yeah.
These two guys and who are
Yeah.
their top mics, and it's like Michael Jordan, Michael Scott, and one of the guys drafted Mike and Ike. So that's where I'm not gonna lie, that's where I sort of got the idea too.
Whatever. That's fine. Who
Yeah.
cares?
There's still lots of mics out there. I thought of it today as I started trying to go out the box, character mics. We talked back when I talked about the pilot that flew me to Cancun, the Mike from Captain Mike from the Hogan family, Mike Hogan. That's a character you can still put. There's lots of Mikes still out there.
So you just and they continue to grow, obviously, which leads me to something real quick before we get in the show. We're always, I mean, this is a nice transition to the education topic. Rob Raymond, my lawn cutting partner today, who I
Yes,
finished late with his
CEO.
CEO of the average lawn care company. He mentioned something to me I didn't know. Do you know how many people are on the planet right now?
No, I couldn't. Like I don't even know what the guess would be. It's in the billions, I'm sure.
Yeah, I didn't know this. We've crossed the 8 billion
Oh,
threshold.
eight. I was like gonna say like 4.8. So I was like
Oh,
50%
are you?
below
Yeah.
that.
I just remember so well we got to 6. I believe it was 6, and it's like when he said that, I was like, "No way, Rob." Then I went to Google. 2021, we're in the high sevens. I'm like, "Oh man!" And then sure enough, we're in the eights.
Man, we're
So
getting there. Overpopulation.
lots of mics just
Well,
continue.
well, trust me, as I drove out west last year, there's tons of room in the Dakotas
Mhm.
and Wyoming and Montana. I'm not worried about overpopulation. So
Okay, all right.
plenty of room, plenty of room. There we go. All right, it's our back to school special. So
Yep.
I just sort of left it wide open. Whatever you wanted to talk about with going back to school, I sort of mentioned to you what I was just going to talk about broadly. So I guess with that, I'm just going to open the door to you. What do you want to talk about? You said you did. Was your research on overrated, underrated, or was it on the back to school, or both?
It was overrated, underrated,
Okay,
but
so we'll get to that. But what's your back to school? What do you got for us today?
okay. So a few things here. We discussed, and we did this last year too, for incoming freshmen. Now I'm just going to say in general, here are some things I took note of here. Um, I really, when people talk about back to school shopping, the immediate thought, at least with the kids, is school clothing, and that's fine. That's never going to go away. I understand the excitement there. My daughter brought it up to me today. I think now, at least locally and in a lot of districts around the country, as the technologies have increased, as we've talked about, I don't think you need so many school supplies. I think you're just buying them to buy them.
Yep.
I think it creates more of a hassle for an individual student, especially something we did talk about this a year ago. This was my advice to my daughter.
Yeah.
Uh, I think it's just you're buying stuff for the sake of saying, "Hey, I bought stuff."
Yep.
If you're truly a person that's better at writing things down, that's fine. But in terms of you don't need to buy 6 notebooks, all different colors, 6 folders. I think those days are long past. I think that's one thing we don't need as much of anymore. So that's my first thing.
Can
Jump.
I do you want,
Oh,
can
go
I
ahead.
mention something and then you can do, I laugh when on Downriver and Friends, people are asking like, where do I see the school supply list for Allen Park High? First of all, whenever they
Right.
mention a high school, we talked about this last year when I started talking about high school. You don't need a supply list for high school. You really don't need one for middle school. All right.
No.
And I think pre-COVID, this was much more of a bigger deal than it has been post-COVID. I think, first of all, a lot of these districts got a lot of federal money. So a lot of these supplies are just available and on hand. Most of it's electronic, like you said, but I know in the library, they allowed me, I purchased these supply carts that are flush with basic supplies, pencils, paper, plain paper, markers, Sharpies. And some of them are for in-house use, meaning if
Sure.
kids are working, they're like, but some
Right.
of them, the other side with the pencils, the pens, it's like, you need a pencil? Grab a pencil, take it. And when kids say, can I
Right.
borrow a pencil? I'm like, no, just take the pencil and go do what you got to do. And it's a lot different than it was 10 years ago where supplies were limited. I think it's safe to say we're pretty flush with supplies. Now, kids, of course, want their own things and that sort of thing. But and I know like, some elementary, like it used to be, remember wipes were always so hard to come by. And now
Right.
thanks to COVID, we're like that. We're like flush with wipes, right? Like
Right.
it's like I think there's enough wipes to last till I retire. Uh,
Absolutely. Yeah.
so
And I just, like I said, and look, I'm a person that still does better writing things down. So I'm not minimizing that, but I tell my daughters all the time, you don't need more stuff. The last
no,
thing you need is more
no,
stuff.
most of it will get thrown away in June.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
Um, this jump out early, get teachers like a lot of teachers anyway, myself included, like to get kids off on the right foot as much as possible, take advantage of any extra credit that's offered early, take advantage of those easy points that are offered early, just get out on the right foot. I equate it as a basketball person to taking the layup early in the game to kind of warm yourself up, as opposed, you don't want to jump out, come off the bench and fire a 3-pointer right away. You want to get your body loose and shoot three. That's the equation here. I think a lot of kids picked up, we talked about COVID, how it changed education. I do think we in the educational field have to rethink certain things at the same time. I know me personally, I'm not going to speak for you, but I know a lot of other teachers that feel this way as well. We've become a lot more lax in terms of deadlines, in terms of allowing things since COVID happened. I think kids got in the habit of, and rightfully so, it was a different time and we had to accept it, of turning things in. We were only in school twice a week. They were turning things in whenever they kind of got around to it, so to speak. And I think we've kind of haven't really transitioned back. Again, we do have to rethink certain things at different times. At the same time, you go to college, man, you get that deadline. They're not very flexible with you. And the same thing in the work world. So I think I stress it to my daughter, get your stuff done when it's supposed to be done. So
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
my
I mean, deadlines are, that's the difference between someone getting the job or getting the class or getting what they need. I know like Chloe just had an instance where she got an email from U of M. They canceled a class she was in. She had a certain amount of time to get into a new one before they just opened it up. And I told her, I'm like, you got to jump on that.
sure.
If you wait, you're going to be in a bad spot. So, and it's, we always joke around like the high school deadline is different than the post high school deadline. That's one of the big differences I tell people.
Yeah.
People don't care, like, and I guess like some of those things, like, you're going on this trip in the spring. And as well as my wife and Nate are going on this trip, passport deadline, that's,
Yeah.
when I went and renewed everyone's passports, they're saying 10 to 13 weeks without the rush. And I see these stories of people that forget or wait and they're like, oh, it's taking this long. And then, 10 to 13 could easily become 13 to 16 if more come in. And guess who doesn't care? The
Yep.
State Department and the TSA. If you're, it doesn't matter how much you paid or whatever, you're not going on the trip.
You're not going?
I'm not going.
Haven't there been whispers that you could?
But I have not heard that. I am going to be home with Ella on spring break 24.
Lame. All right.
taking walks. So, what I'm excited about some things for 23, 24. I think
Sure.
my time, I'm gonna have a little more time because of other responsibilities that are no longer under my responsibility. That opens up my time to do my job better in the library, my job better as a coach, my job better as a student council advisor. I know some things slacked last year because my time was taken up elsewhere. My time now flows back to that. I'm hoping to go to my state conference again, which is up in lovely Bay City in November, and to get some more information. We changed the name of our group to something like Michigan Association of School Librarians. We were MAME,
Whoa.
Michigan Association of Media and Education. We've rebranded, I think is the term. So Michigan Association of School Librarians, which I like. I always liked, you know me, whenever I really don't care what people call me. When people, that's like the running joke. Am I a media specialist? Am I a librarian? Whatever. I always prefer the term librarian. It's old school. It's what, it is what it is. So
Okay.
I'm looking to have more time to accomplish more in other areas of my career. I want to talk, you talked supplies. So my go-to supplies, you ready? These pens, these Sharpie gel pens, great pens. All right. Got a little grip on it. They write very well. I don't know if I plugged this last year. I think I have when I talked about planners. Passion Planner, great planner. It's what I put everything in. All right.
This
and
is
then for
compliment to
everyone,
you.
which one is that? Is that a Passion Planner?
No, this is just, this
Oh,
has the Marauder logo on
okay.
it.
All right. For this one, everyone you buy, they donate it to like a children's group or a women's group. Then it's a straight notebook. I'm a pen and paper guy. That's a Cobra Kai sticker that I put on there. Because, strike hard, strike fast, no mercy. That's the way I go into every school year. This is just a notebook where I jot things.
Wait,
And
wait,
then,
wait, 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 wait. You go in every
what?
school year with the no mercy
Yeah, that's where I
slogan?
go into. And then I'm like what is this? Like mechanical pencil guy too. Because I'm a pen and that's it. That's what I'm going into the school year with.
I'm still stuck on this no mercy thing. Who you having no mercy on?
No mercy, no overdue fines, lost books. Uh, and then like I'm gonna jump onto what you said, a little bit of advice to students, advice. And we've said these, and I know we're sort of like a broken record, but obviously I told the student council kids in this meeting, I had my meeting with their cross country kids. You mentioned grades. It's a lot easier to stay at a good point and keep your grades high than it is to scratch and claw back.
Right.
Right. So, so just stay on that, but also get involved in things. You got to be there anyway. You got to go to school. You got to be there for 4 years. Hopefully it's only a 4-year plan. Find out we offer so many things, clubs, sports,
Mm-hmm.
activities. If you're not an athlete, that's fine. Still go to a game here or there,
Plenty of
go
stuff to
to
get in where you can fit in.
go.
Sure.
Yes. And if you don't look for those things, that's it's really on you. The stuff is there, and there's from all different types of groups. And I know the one thing about our kids at Carlson, they're very welcoming. Like they want more people in their groups and
Absolutely.
clubs. The marching band wants more people in the marching band. The kids in the fall play want people to try. It's not a excluded type of thing. This year I was, we started the show up with cross country. I graduated 2 senior girls. So it's always like about numbers, like where your numbers gonna be. I had 2 senior girls graduate. Well, I have, I think currently 5 freshmen girls coming, adding, and a new sophomore adding. Okay, so that's, if my math is correct, that's a +4.
Yeah.
Which is a great thing. That's a great thing. That's what we're, and you don't have to be the fastest runner in the world. If you want to work hard and be a good teammate, that's all we ask, and have a physical. But so that's just my advice back to school. It is an exciting time. Don't be stressed about it. I think it's well, we always joke around, what's the worst that could happen? You go to the wrong lunch with fourth hour, right? You don't know uh
Yeah.
what you're doing or whatever. Teachers have done it too. So
Yeah.
don't
More than once. More than
yeah,
once.
so don't be ashamed, don't be embarrassed. There's nothing you could really harm or make up. It's gonna be a good year too in Gibraltar. We have Officer Trush is now full-time as the SRO, school resource officer at Shoemate. And then Brandon's going to be with us all the time at Carlson.
I didn't know
So
that. Wow.
yeah, it's pretty nice. Timmy Trush was a student in my class the first year I taught English. Yeah, great guy. So
Man, that's crazy.
yeah, I'm getting old.
Yeah.
He's still young. So anything else you want to say for back to school?
No, I mean, I'm excited. I'm excited about the Europe trip, obviously.
One
Yeah,
more year and you have one. Wait, is it one more year and both of your girls are
no, 2 years.
together? Two
Melina's
more
born in
years? Okay.
December. So yeah, I got a
Okay.
couple years to wait on that.
Okay.
So
Yeah, it should be a good year. It should be, an exciting year. Okay, overrated, underrated. The reason this topic came up, we were out with a couple of our friends at a local establishment, having some quality beverages. JP's Waterfront, local business,
I didn't have
nice
many.
area.
I had two.
No, no, we were all responsible. But
Yeah,
while
yeah.
we were there, we were discussing. That was my passport discussion came up, and I was talking about my daughter
Canada.
turns 19 at Thanksgiving. We want to go to Canada, and we sort of started wondering, like, do kids do this as much now as they did circa our generation, Generation X? Which, for those of you that are not local, let's help out. So we're about 25, 30 minutes from the Canadian border.
Yeah.
And pre 9/11, it was you just need to drive across.
The revolving
No
door.
enhanced license, no passport needed. You just told them what you were doing, and if you didn't do anything dumb, you're usually let in, and if you didn't do anything dumb, you're usually let back into the country.
Just that simple too.
It has since gotten harder.
Yeah.
That you have to have either a special enhanced license, you have to have a valid passport, and it's obviously everything's a little more secure now at the borders. I mean, it's not just you know, I mean, it's not hard now. I mean, if you have your passports and stuff, they ask you the
Right.
questions and go in, but it's not like it was pre 9/11. And the reason us locals down here in southeastern Michigan would go to Windsor is because, like most of the rest of the civilized world, their drinking laws are a little more lax than our 21 and older here. Am I right? Like we're one of the more oddly
Yeah.
conservative countries in the
We're
world.
yeah. So you could be 19 and go,
You could
and
be 19 and take part in that's their age of consent for
let's throw out some of the
alcohol.
bar names that we discussed because the listeners will remember these. The lower,
Don
excuse me,
Cherry,
Don
Don
Cherry's
Cherry's
going.
was like,
Jokers, a little bit lower end.
yeah,
If you don't want to wait in line, you get into Jokers. Windsor Music Cafe,
yeah.
nice place. Peppers was mentioned.
Peppers. Oh yeah, yep.
The high end place was Bentley's. If you want to go
Bentley's.
there, you got to wait in line.
There's a line. I mean, you either got there really early or we're waiting in line, and like
Yes,
dorkily early. And
yes,
then also the thing with going Canada, and this was back then, not as many. Everyone had. There's no debit cards. There's no cards. Everything was cash.
yeah.
So if you were going, you'd have to stop at the duty free,
Stop at duty free.
change your money to
Spray the free
cash.
cologne. The sample colognes they give you. You take one of those.
Yes. And so you have all this odd cash, dollar coins, and there's also the Windsor Caesars that runs it now. The Windsor Casino is also operational and over there. You could go there and gamble. Underage is not really underage, but just cheaper. So people would do this quite often, right? Like it would be. I mean, not like every weekend, but
Yeah, and
I mean,
Rocky
over
Ford,
the
he mentioned Patrick O'Ryan's. I don't know if you ever went there, man. They did this cool thing. You order Guinness. I mean, you go to Patrick Irish pub, you order Guinness, right? There's so many other things there, but they would put like the clover in the foam. It's a really neat
yeah,
thing they did. It was
yeah. I
places
mean,
were so much fun.
and there and like you. So I guess like over the course of a summer, just like as an estimate, so we're probably like what 5 or 6 times over the course of a summer would probably be about right.
Yeah,
I mean, so it's
at
not like
least.
every weekend, but
Well,
yeah, that
I I had a job one summer. I won't say where it was, where we were able to nap on the job quite a bit.
hmm,
So Thursday nights tended to be. So I would say I went more than 5 or 6 times, but
okay.
with the guys I worked with there.
Bottled beer was always very expensive, and the like Molson Draft was dirt cheap. You get a picture of it, right? Like
Mhm.
that'd be the route. So, all
Right.
right. So that just for
That's
people that aren't around. That is
mhm.
why we wouldn't be going there to go to Amherstburg or go have like ribs at the barbecue place, the Windsor
Right.
barbecue or whatever. Right?
Correct.
That's
Correct.
the reason we were going over there. We don't think it's popular as nowadays. I don't think as many. I mean, we could ask, but I just don't think it's as frequent. It's a little more of a hassle, this and that. So, with that, what do you have as overrated? I said Canada in general. It doesn't have to be just going to Windsor, but however you want to take it, what is your overrated for our lovely neighbors to the north
So when I talk to
or
people
to the
about
south of Detroit, actually, if we want to talk
right. Always funny
the
to say
old
that.
bit?
But when I talk to people about doing this show, what our subject was, inevitably I knew it was going to happen, and it did. The comic came. You're doing Canada, eh? So I looked it up. I'm saying the expression
Yes.
is overrated. I looked it up and I found this article written that cited a linguist who talked about the use of the word a in Canadian culture. And it's predominantly, according to this article, I'm sure I'm going to hear about this from the Canada elite that listens, but according to the article, it is very male oriented, rural. You draw your own conclusions from there, but it's all generally male oriented in rural areas where A is set. Now it has become a point of pride amongst some Canadians because of that reason, because they're associated with it. They kind of own it at this point, and there's no rhyme or reason to the exact origin. Not surprisingly, there's some theories, but the bottom line is it really is not something a lot of Canadians say, but now Canadians claim because of the fact that it's just associated with them. So they just say, "Screw it, we're gonna take it." But it's a very specific group of people who tend to use a, but a lot of Americans attach that to all Canadians. So that's my overrated.
Yeah, it's like a stereotype thing at this
Yeah.
point.
Right.
Because I know like our MEA guy, Bill, is French, he's Canadian, born in, and so he doesn't say it, but I hear there are other aspects linguistically that I could tell he's Canadian.
Mhm.
The sort of the OU, the extended OU, you know what I mean? But you're right. I never really heard that a lot. It was always like in TV and movies, the A,
Yeah.
like
Right.
it's maybe if we got up into rural Canada, we hear it more. I don't know. So my overrated is going to tie into sort of the bar theme. And I'm not a beer snob by any stretch of the imagination, but I think Canadian beers are overrated. I'm not a huge fan of, and that's when when I go over there, that's when I don't like Molson at all. Blue Light, I'm okay with. I think that's okay, and I had a little stretch where that's what I would drink, but now it's far back on my list of
Agree.
like if I'm now I was at a party somewhere, and that was there, and it was cold, so I took I had it. I wasn't gonna like not drink it. It was fine, but I don't sit there and say, oh, I can't wait to have a Molson. I can't wait to
Sure.
have a we were joking around that same night. Didn't Molson Ice start the whole ice
I
beer? Weren't
think
they
it was
the
the first one, and yeah, I can remember. Man, it just never. It did. You're right. I agree with you. I think
I
yours is very good. I think Molson is not good to drink at all.
no, it's not a good, and like and again, I'll drink just about any beer if it's cold. I'm not putting Budweiser is the one where I just can't have straight Budweiser. I cannot stomach it.
Yeah.
But Molson, like a straight Molson, I don't even know if I could have that too. But Molson Ice was for those again for you young whippersnappers back in the mid to late 90s. Molson decided somehow this brewing system, which the claim was this deep freeze brewing system, when in all reality, all that probably really happens is they just stack the alcohol more in this beer and
Right.
they called it ice. There was nothing. Maybe somebody in the brewing industry will correct us on this,
Yeah.
but I highly doubt that
And
some
everybody else followed
fancy brewing system. And yeah, and then
Bud Ice.
Budweiser had it, and I think Miller, everyone had it. And all it was you took like normal beer that had about 3 to 4% and bumped it to like 6 to 7%.
Old
And
Milwaukee even did one.
yeah, and of course, economically, it's like people that drink seltzers now, right? Why are people saying, "Oh, I'm not gaining as much weight because I'm drinking seltzers"? If you look at a seltzer, the same amount of calories as a Miller Lite or a Coors Light or a Bud Light, but they're also double the booze. So, and again, I'm not encouraging over drinking, but if I wanted to improve my alcohol content with less calories, I would drink the
There you go.
seltzers,
Yeah.
right? I mean, but that hasn't steered me away from Miller Lite. So me, overrated Canadian beer. Again, Blue Light, I'll drink it. Other than that, I don't want it. So what do you got is your underrated?
So this is where I did a little more research besides just reading an article. Canada, I don't know why. Maybe it was just growing up, and my association with Canada was always hockey, which tends to be a very European oriented sport. My view of Canada is not as a diverse country. And not only is it diverse, my underrated is Canada is more diverse than the United States is in a lot of ways. First off, its immigrant population is above 20%. The United States is hovering under 15, like the latest number here says 13.6. So Canada has more immigrants. The Canada population is about 70% white. The United States is actually 75%. So the notion that Canada, I don't know again, maybe it's just me what I perceive when I grow up, but when I grew up. But to me, the United States, we like to claim the mantle of being diverse. Some of us do. And rightfully so, and proudly so in certain circumstances. But there are Canada being one of them. They're more diverse than we are, and in fact, it's a part of official policy that they are a diverse country. They proudly proclaim it. It's a part of the governmental policy. So I'm going with that as my underrated. I don't think of Canada as being diverse. I never thought of Canada as being diverse, but it is. So that's my underrated.
That's a great item to point out. And I mean, and then you even get into the fact, like you get into Quebec, it's almost like
Yeah,
its own, it's part of Canada, but it's almost like its own different French,
right.
and they have a lot of pride in that.
Sure.
Um, uh, Almost sort of country within a country, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
My underrated is in the 19-year-old aspect ties into it, but I think it's that we are spoiled. It's very underrated that this is legitimately a foreign country. I think growing up where we grew up, we sort of just had
Yeah.
this idea of like, you know, but I'm sure if you lived anywhere else besides these top states, Michigan, New York, that have these common borders that go up, and then of course the Minnesotas, Dakotas, all the way along to Washington, along Vancouver. We sort of just downplay it, but if you ever met or ran into somebody in other parts of the country, and you explain to them, well, like, oh, I went over to Windsor, I went into Canada, this and that, and like you just drove into. And I think we sort of downplay. So the whole underrated that it is a whole separate country that has a whole separate form of currency. I mentioned Quebec that has their own different language in a region. Um, you know, uh, you have to get when you go over there, right? The metric system. It's not back in the day. You had to know how many kilometers per hour you were going
Yeah.
instead of
Right.
miles per hour, so you don't get a ticket. So that to me, and of course the change in laws, what we benefited from, the 19-year-old, you know, you're an adult, so we'll trust you with this. Unlike the United States, where you're an adult and you can vote and you can go die for your country, but you're not going to purchase that Miller Lite.
And have that drink. Nope. Nope. Nope.
Hard, 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 hard. The Puritans, man, they still have their
They do for
nails.
sure.
They still have their nails scratched into it somehow. All these years later. But I guess safety first. I guess
Yeah.
it's a rite of passage. Going to Windsor, trying to find a fake ID. Let's of course. Who am I? I shouldn't be. Every child has their first. Every American has their first drink at 21. I'm sure, just like we did.
Yeah. You kids don't
On
try this
Amer-
at home. Yeah. There you go.
Yes, yes, yeah. We have to put a disclaimer on the. I think I got to click on the thing. Was this episode made for kids? So, all right. So that's our over. We'd love to hear what people think. People that maybe are far away from us. We'd love to hear what you think. If you think that we're just crazy talking about this, but we know there's tons of stories just from our little interaction. We'd love to hear some Windsor stories from back in the day of people that. And by the way, the new bridge. Pretty soon we're gonna have a third crossing, even closer to us downriver. The Gordie Howe
Yeah.
Bridge is
Yep.
moving right along, and it looks amazing, and that's going to be and last year when I did the half marathon, I ran over the Ambassador Bridge and came back through the tunnel. It was pretty cool. Going over the bridge was cool. Coming back through the tunnel,
Yeah, you did. That is cool. That is cool.
that is a cool. That Detroit. I'm going to tell you right now. Anyone that's local in Michigan, and that's into, and I'm not even a runner. I mean, I ran part of it, I jogged part of it, I walked part of it. I mean, I'm not a marathoner, but I did the half marathon, and I'm not doing it this year because it's our homecoming weekend. But it's something I would want to do again. It is a great race. Now you have to have a passport and you have to go in early and turn it in and get it verified. But part of the race takes you over the Ambassador Bridge. You run through Windsor and then you come back under the tunnel and go through Detroit and Midtown. So definitely something. If you've done 5Ks or half marathons, check it out. You should definitely do it.
Okay. Good
And
plug.
yep, yep. And the people in Windsor were great, by the way, cheering you along. Very friendly, very
Oh,
great
neat.
people. So yep. All right. So hot mic take for the week. What do you have for us here as we are rolling into mid-August?
All right, two parts. I heard this, or no, I didn't hear this. I heard a song the other day that reminded me of this. So I'm going to ask you, do you remember the commercials, Real Men of Genius?
Yes, Survivor. It was Survivor, right? Like they were the band that
Well, it was the lead singer who was the
the lead
singer.
singer. Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
that was my first question. My second one is I this is something, and I want to know commercial wise, like what do you miss? I miss that. Like I those commercials were hilarious to me. Like I said, I heard a Survivor song, and I had to make sure it was. I remember hearing that it was him, but I didn't have it verified, and I looked it up. It was him, and those commercials were hilarious. And so it got me thinking, like, what do we what do you miss? Like I miss, remember the What's Up guys? What's up? I thought those guys were great.
Yeah.
So there's certain things. What do you miss? Commercial wise, we don't need to
Are you
talk
talking
about,
commercial? Are you talking just commercial
I'm
wise?
talking just commercial. We don't need to talk shows because we've kind of done that before. But
Well,
what do you,
I will say I miss the back in the day. Remember, shows used to have theme songs. Okay, like shows
yeah,
used to have, and really shows that doesn't exist anymore. Shows just start.
right. Who
You know what I
phased it?
mean?
Was
Like
that, I mean, was that Seinfeld? I wonder who was the one that set the trend to get
I
rid
don't
of.
know. I sent you a clip from Saint Elsewhere today. I don't know if you watched
Oh, I
it. I
haven't
sent
watched
you
it.
that.
I gotta watch it, but
Yeah.
I
So
haven't.
and that's like one of those famous shows that had that opening theme song that and
Yeah.
you'd see all the characters get introduced and every episode. I mean, I'm watching it now on Hulu. I'm going back and rewatching this old show. I don't know what got me onto it. Young Denzel Washington. I mean, a lot of stars, but young Denzel Washington in that. Like, I think that was like his first real big thing. Um, it's an episode where he was training for the Boston Marathon, which was pretty weird. Just and everyone had short shorts on. It was the '80s, but yeah,
Huh.
TV theme songs. I'm trying to think of commercials that I actually, it's the same thing too. It's like there's not that many. It's like the only memorable commercials are at Super Bowl time, and they air them once or twice, and then everything else is just your standard. Although I do like the farmers commercials, like with the our
Yeah,
local
not a farmer's
Oscar
fan.
winner.
Um,
Well, I'm not.
no, we did. Yeah, that's a. I don't know. I'm trying to think, but the Real Men of Genius. I don't think they did actually commercials. I think they're on the radio. The What's Up
Yeah, there are
guys
radio spots.
were
What's up?
actually
Yeah,
TV commercials.
yeah,
I'd like to hear what people say. This is Max Bailey's very good at stuff like this. I bet you he has.
yeah. I mean, I'm trying to think like currently, like the like Pepsi doesn't. There used to be great like Pepsi commercials,
Yeah.
Diet Coke Coke commercials. I just don't. Maybe part of it may be, and in all honesty, where we're hitting into this generation
Oh
now
yeah,
of you don't even watch commercials.
that's TV. Well, yeah, you don't
You
watch.
fat you
Yeah, you're
fast
right.
forward through them. Like I know, like I just mentioned, I'm watching something on Hulu. No, I'm not a big shot. I'm not a one percenter, so I have the ads. Okay, if Hulu with ads, not Hulu without. But when the ad comes on, I just pick something like I'll pick up my phone, I'll just ignore. Like I don't even watch the ad. Like so I don't even really pull them in that much anymore.
Yeah,
And then like football, I watch Red Zone, you know.
I loyally watched the entire Lions game. Just throwing that out to you.
Yeah, I know. We're not gonna get into that. We're not gonna get into that. Yeah, we might do that again. All right, my hot mic. Every year we try to do like as the end of summer, and it gets earlier and earlier now because my daughter it used to be could do it like the last week of August. Well, now Chloe's moving back to school soon. We try to do something just together as a family, go somewhere. Well, we went on this week downtown,
Mm.
and I think we mentioned this before, but I just want to say it again. And because you see a lot of footage of like Los Angeles, right? Like Portland, Seattle, like this homeless problem, and being down. Like Chicago gets a lot of bad beef, which I think is a lousy. I think that some news networks latch onto a story here or there, and and go run with it. Detroit is a great place to go visit during the week or anytime downtown. These people that say I never want to go downtown, they are missing out. We went down to Eastern Market.
Oh,
All
cool.
right. Spend some time down there. Now during the week, it's not that crowd. It's not as big and hustling as
Sure.
it is on the weekend, but it was still cool to go down. We had lunch. We had a nice lunch and got some chicken shawarma and my Chloe got stuffed peppers up there on Jefferson at oh man, now I'm drawing a blank of the shawarma place downtown. But this lady had a little pie slash cake kitchen in there, and it was delicious. And we went over to the DIA. Okay, have you been there recently?
Not recently. It's been a little while.
Listen,
Within
so
the
it's
last five or
free.
6 years. But yeah,
It's
right.
free, or as I'm sure we'll hear from some people, it's you pay it in your property taxes. But for Wayne, Oakland, and Macomb County citizens, it's free. Like you go there, they sent me a little card. You show me your driver. I show my driver's license. First of all, the building itself is just a beautiful building. Like going in there and walking through, and looking at the stuff. And I explained being that dorky dad, I explained to the kids how back when the city was going through bankruptcy, all this stuff was almost
Right.
put out for sale. By the way, Bucharest Grill. That's
Oh,
where I
Booger.
made
Oh,
lunch.
yeah. How did I forget that? Okay.
Yeah, yeah. The nice little place up there we went to the Jefferson location. But so I explained, this stuff was almost all liquidated, like a garage sale to get the city out of bankruptcy.
Mhm.
And it was and, I also the air conditioning in there is awesome. So if there's a hot day and you want a nice, especially during the week,
Sure,
it's
yeah,
pretty
yeah.
empty, ice cold. Walk through there. Then we went and drove through Corktown, which is just amazing. 10 years ago, Corktown to now, it is amazing what has transferred down there, and how much real estate must be through the roof. The high rises, they built those condos that are right on Old Tiger Stadium. Then you drove by the train station that Ford Motor Company has rebuilt, and they put a park in front of you. So we went into Mexican Down. I went to Honeybee Grocery. Have you ever been in there?
I have not.
Oh, great little grocery store.
Mhm.
Picked up some stuff and walked through there. So Mexican Town. What a great day. So you don't have to go far. You don't, and it's safe. You'll be fine. Go down there. If you're not going down there, you are missing out.
Yeah.
There's more to the Olive Garden on Eureka and Dick's. Okay. Go a little further north. All right.
20
Trust me,
minutes north are good.
you're gonna be fine. You're missing out. You're paying those property taxes, so enjoy the DIA. It is free. $7 to park. Let me clarify: there is a parking lot, it's $7, but load everyone up in one car and enjoy a day downtown. And my wife, a couple years ago, we did Belle Isle as the day, which is another beautiful thing. If you buy the recreation passport, that's also free to get in. If you buy it on your tabs and go in there, but just a great time. I'm glad we did it. It was a nice day out.
Good plug. I Eastern Market there's a Eastern Market Brewery is what it's called. It's such a fun area. That bar itself, you can go in, you can go out, you can walk around. It's such a beautiful area. So I'm with you.
Yep, yep. If it's a nice sunny day, and like I think I mentioned this before about Detroit. Unlike a lot of those other cities I mentioned, Los Angeles, Chicago, driving into those cities is a chore.
Oh
Okay,
yeah,
driving into those,
absolutely.
it's driving into Chicago, the one-way streets, and driving into Detroit if there's not an event going on, if like Ford Field or Comerica's not,
Yeah.
and even if those events are going on, it's very isolated to right there. It
Yeah.
is one of the easiest cities to drive.
Yeah.
There's no traffic.
Right.
It's like there's probably more traffic on Eureka and Dix than there was on the streets I was driving around
I would
to
agree.
get to
West
where I needed
Road,
to
those
go.
are not fun places to drive. You're right. Detroit is it's pretty.
We're very blessed with it. We're very blessed with it. So, all right, that's gonna wrap us up for this week. What do we want? What are we finishing with this week? I think the Steelers play tonight, their first preseason game
Lions
against
play
Tampa.
tomorrow. Are you going to make a prediction on your Steelers
I
tonight?
don't. Oh, on preseason, someone shared the betting odds. They are the favorite. Like they have the lowest return to win the NFC North. So that means they're
Oh,
the favorites,
I
right?
thought you were
Like
going to say they were a
bet this.
favorite to win this preseason game. Like,
No,
wow.
they're the favorites to win the NFC North on this one Barstool betting page or something that I saw. Yeah, who's going to be ahead of them?
Wait, are we talking the Lions right now?
The Detroit Lions. Yes, they were the favorite. I see most people picking them to win the North.
Oh, and you see, you're not mocking this. Like the serious look on your face is stunning right now.
I'm just stating a fact. Now, the Steelers, ironically, were, I think, third or fourth in the AFC North, but they're betting the numbers. They were very close to the AFC North teams, all the numbers to bet to win the division or
Yeah.
to win were almost the same as the Lions as seeded first. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
there's
Yeah.
not much odd differential because they really think any of those four teams, and in my opinion, any of those three of those four, I'm not sold on the Browns. I still think that's a pipe dream. But I think the Lions, and like I said, I think they had the Lions and then the Vikings right behind them, with the Bears as long shots. But I know Max has said, watch out for the Packers.
Yeah, I don't want. I'm not betting. You probably think I'm burying all those others. I'm not. I do. I just think Detroit is better this year than those teams. I think Minnesota is going to come back to earth. I think that they a lot of fool's gold last year with them, and they won. I mean, I'm not taking anything away. I do think that this is the line. If they don't win it, the division this year, man, it's for again. 1993, Barry Sanders was
Yep.
commenting.
Tampa Bay was in the division the last time they won it.
Yeah, right.
Or Tampa Bay has won one more recently.
They
The
have, and
NFC,
Tampa Bay actually, yeah, they haven't been in the division since like 2001.
and they've won one more.
Yes.
They they've won. Any baseball? I see our All Star that we traded away pitched a no hitter.
Yeah, it
The
had to
Tigers
happen.
had to happen. Did you also see the fan that ran on the field at Comerica?
They
I
missed that.
tweeted at the Ren Dog. I wanted the Ren Dog to be the guy to tackle him, uh, but the Ren Dog pointed out that he's an usher and he's not security or police, and he dropped the "not my job." So Ren Dog, Listen, man, security, man. Like,
Yeah, I hate
don't
when
drop,
people say it's not my job. Ren dog, get out there
don't
and tackle somebody.
come on, man. That was your chance. You could have been on ESPN top 10 or something. Tackle that guy. And the guy gave up. Nobody even tackled him. He
I
like
missed
eventually
it.
got to
I
a
gotta
point.
see
He
this.
just, I'll have to put it, I tweeted it out and I tagged the Ren dog. I'll have to check that out. But yeah, the guy just sort of got gas. Wouldn't it have been great as he was gassed and bending over? The Ren dog just coming out like Terry Tatum and just
Launches
knocked
that.
him.
Oh, that would be great.
Oh man, that was your chance, Ren dog. We were maybe next time. Maybe you would have got a promotion. Chris Illich would have put you in charge of security. Maybe named a parking lot after you or something
Oh
over in
man,
the
Dan Dockich, eat your heart out, Dan Dockich. That would be.
but yeah, so that's it. So baseball season, that's over here for both of our teams. So I guess we got to just count on football and hopefully that gets better. And like I said, well, are you doing a fantasy football league? Or
Yeah,
you're
I'm
in a league,
doing
right?
two. I'm actually 1.5. I'm with a guy
Okay.
in another league. He's not fully committed on
All
that.
right.
And then the one with the guys at work. You're in now, eh?
I'm back in. I'm back in. We're not going to bore our listeners with fantasy football talk, but I'm back in. So that'll be interesting as well.
You don't
So,
want to talk about who your
um,
seventh round pick, who you're projected as.
no, I don't. No, nobody cares. Nobody cares.
Nobody cares.
Nobody. We all agree with that. Don't be that guy on Tuesday mornings
Nope.
or Monday mornings, please. Nobody cares, even if you win the title. So, well, that's it. We hope everybody has a great weekend. We will see you next week.